welcome to Day One Patch, episode 193. I'm your
Was
host,
that like a couple
Johnson.
words of like a romantic hello there,
Yeah.
you know?
Hello. What time do you close?
Damn it.
I'm Ryan Johnson. Adriano's not here.
I ran him over with my vehicle in the snow,
Yeah, you couldn't stop, right?
and then I shot him. I got out, and he was like, nah.
It was like a deer, right?
And it just-
If you hit a deer, yeah, you gotta take a deer. Well, we'll be missing Adriano. Ow.
What the? Missing you, too.
Yeah.
Just kicks up a huge, like, metal stool into yourself. Christ, man.
That's Matt Lawrence.
That's not me.
Top stories today include, not too much, as we're getting close to Christmas, so not too many news stories are coming out. But what we do got is we have some numbers on the Game Award viewership. Nintendo wants to ramp up its mobile game development.
You don't say.
We're going to be talking about the highly controversial net neutrality ruling in the U.S. And Sony executive Sean Layden hinted at the possibility of changing our PlayStation Network IDs. Long awaited.
I'm about to say, I'm pretty sure this has come up repeatedly.
Long overdue.
And he said, hopefully by the next time they meet, right?
Yeah, well, we'll get into that. So, but what's new, Matt? What's happening? What's the biggest thing you just saw last night?
Saw some Star Wars.
Some Star Wars: The Last Jedi.
Some Star Wars Last Jedi.
Episode 8 in the saga.
Are we going to go into spoiler territory?
I would say yes.
I'm going to leave a timestamp in the description for y'all that want to skip the spoilers.
Yeah, so, yeah, we're going to be talking full spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie, do not listen. Check the timestamp.
Check the timestamp in the description.
When to listen back in.
Spoilers start now.
So, we both watched it. There was the preview night. First airing.
Is that what it's officially called?
Yeah.
The first night? Is
Thursday's
preview night?
Thursday's preview night.
Okay.
Official on all the posters and marketing, it says the 15th. But the preview night is the Thursday, the 14th.
Just to buff their numbers for the weekend.
Yeah, so basically when this movie was first showing, a lot of reviewers came out. They were saying they loved it. They were going nuts for it. Only a few bad reviews were in there. I think CNN had a bad review. But mostly
Is it like
generally,
literally bad? Or is it like 7?
he didn't like it. Well, it was like it was either a 2 or a 3 out of 5, something like that.
Ooh.
But they didn't like it that much. And then now that the fans are starting to get to see it, and today was its official opening day.
Right. So there's a bunch of people going to be seeing it tonight, too.
Yeah, and a lot of people on both sides of the fence here. Some people love it and say it's the greatest Star Wars film ever, or at least since Empire Strikes Back.
I was seeing that on Twitter. Some of
Yeah.
the IGN folks and stuff.
Yeah, and then a lot of people are saying they hated it. I find myself in the middle.
I am also in the middle. But full disclosure, you're big into Star Wars.
I have a bias for sure.
I just watch the movies. I don't really care.
Yeah.
And I like some of the outfits and stuff and then some of the characters, but like I'm not every day thinking about Star Wars.
Right.
I'm not watching them all the time.
Yeah. So let's just hop into some of the. Let's get the controversial stuff out of the way. I
Well,
guess.
there's something controversial that I'd actually like to bring up.
Okay,
then,
sure, go ahead.
Is and we brought this up in the coffee shop, but I think it's still controversial. The chances of them there's a point in the movie which they jump out of hyperspace and then they find out that the First Order can track them through hyperspace, which was apparently not supposed to be possible.
Mm-hmm.
So that happens. And so they're like, shit, like we're almost out of fuel, whatever, because the rebels or the resistance, whatever the hell you want to call them, are now are retreating from their base because the First Order basically has dominant power in the galaxy.
Mm-hmm.
Fair enough. But then they're like, oh, we're going to go on sublight, just slightly out of range of these Star Destroyers. The Star Destroyers are able to bomb us, but they're not close enough so that the blasters or whatever can penetrate the shield.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like constantly driving away, and like they're low on gas, low on fuel, and they're like being bombarded. And then it just so happens, after a whole bunch of stuff happens here, like I'm glazing over a lot of stuff here,
Yeah.
that's like, oh, there's an old rebel base that we're just so happen to be in range of. Now, I say that they meant to actually go there. You guys said, because we were talking in its importance after the show, that you guys said that was a fluke. I say that that was actually their goal.
Why didn't they just jump straight there then?
That is exactly the controversy. I think that was an oversight. I think that they were like, oh, we should jump out. And then it's like why did they drive for like 12, whatever it was, hours?
But okay, this is why I think they didn't mean to go there. Okay, because they didn't jump straight there, first of all, which they should have, right? Now maybe they couldn't. Maybe it was a double jump. I don't know. Okay, but they also didn't think they were being tracked, so they made that initial jump, came out of hyperspace, right? And then they realized they were out of fuel and only had enough fuel for one more jump. Okay,
right.
So why didn't not immediately after coming out of hyperspace make that jump to the rebel base?
This is
so
exactly,
I don't feel like it was part of their plan.
This is exactly my issue.
If it was part of the plan, they would have just done it.
But what was the plan?
Just to get out of there and then regroup.
No, but there was a course plan. They could have not gone. How long were they in hyperspace when they retreated from their main base?
It didn't seem like long.
But like they could have gone even shorter.
Yeah.
If they're low on fuel, economically, you're going to be like, let's just jump like a system over to confuse the first order.
Really, someone should have been watching that stuff.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So first of all, if they went there, they have to stay in linear out of range, so they can't turn because if they turn, the Star Destroyers will kind of turn at a sharper angle and catch up and be able to bomb them. So it just so happens that they jump out of hyperspace and this thing is right in front of them essentially. So that's a crock of shit. I'm sorry, that is.
Well,
I actually hated that entire part of the movie.
The end?
The part where they're driving away and getting shot at throughout the entire movie.
It was very lackluster.
Really stupid is what it was.
And another thing is like, why couldn't the First Order call up to another fleet and have them jump in front of them?
Even better, why couldn't they catch up? Oh, we couldn't catch them because they're fast enough to stay out of range, or they're fast enough to stay out of lethal range, but not fast enough to get away from us. So essentially what you're saying is they're slightly ahead of you. You accelerated at the same rate and are going the same maximum speed at exactly the same time. So therefore you cannot catch up. Now, I'm sorry, but those little strike craft are faster. Mm-hmm. Why the hell didn't they just keep bombing them with strike craft?
Or they could have sent in a fleet of starfighters.
They sent freaking Kylo Ren in, and they just were like, oh, okay, that's it. Like they did some damage, whatever. We had a real bad floating scene with Leia, and then. Like seriously, why didn't they send the strike craft in? Just send more strike craft in. We'll kill them. Mm-hmm. Who cares?
Yeah. So I think that as an entire movie plot point,
that's stupid.
Was very weird because it just felt weird to me.
What they should have did was get to that base, and that base, what the whole movie should have been the whole kind of point of this movie, and this is probably the biggest spoiler of them all, is that they're basically the new Rebel Alliance.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
and they're no longer called the Resistance because the other dudes, what were they? The Republic.
The Republic
is dead.
Yeah,
right, as seen in Episode 7. So my thing is why? Trying to I'm trying to even think this through. It would have been so much better if they went to that base with the salt and had a whole thing where they were preparing, and they found a weapon that they could use to defend. And that's why Finn and that other chick take off and go to get somebody to crack a door to get into a safe to get this weapon to fight against First. That would have made so much more sense. And you would have had literally the same movie.
Yeah.
I don't know what, that whole point was stupid. That was stupid. The ship was just dumb. And then here's a really good one too. And we talked about this. So there's an explosion on the bridge. Admiral Akbar is dead. Leia gets blasted out into space and then used her force power to fly back into the ship, which looked horrendous.
It was really bad.
And also, Adriana made a good point. That should have been her death because she died in real life, sadly. So therefore, that was their out because they didn't want to CGI her. So I've heard in the future.
Right.
So first of all, I kind of think she should have died. Not should have, but it would have made sense just due to logistics, right? Because if you don't want to CGI her, she's dead unfortunately in real life now. What are you going to do? So she's but anyway, she recovers.
But also, that would be a lackluster death for her as well. Because it wasn't, if Kylo actually fired on the bridge, that makes it a little more impactful. But it was just two TIE fighters that shot some missiles at the bridge and blew it up.
You know what it would?
That wouldn't have been that great of a death for Leia.
She should have gotten up, and she should have been near death, and she should have been the one that did the hyperspace through the one ship.
Maybe, yeah.
She should have did that.
Yeah.
That's how they attacked. But anyway, it doesn't matter. So anyway, so the whole thing is like this other admiral takes over, and like Poe like was obviously very close to Leia, and like Leia like demoted him because she was pissed off at him for doing some some shit.
He didn't listen to her orders.
Didn't listen to her orders,
And it got a bunch of people killed.
but also admittedly did do a lot of damage to the First Order.
Yeah.
Are you dinging over there again?
Yeah, yeah. But they also probably could have used those bombers on that on Snoke's ship. Do you know what I mean?
That's true. Although they were probably out of gas as well.
Not the bombers. If they didn't use them on the Dreadnought in the very opening scene, they would have had them left over and then could have fought the Snoke ship.
That's true.
Yeah.
But now this is the stupid thing. She's like, "Oh, you're like to Poe." She's like, "Oh, you're like a like a rebel, like a rascal, like you're just
hot-headed,
and you don't listen to orders."
Just wants to blow
so
things
she
up.
basically knows that he's like plotting against her, and he's like demanding that she give him the plan. Like, what's our plan here? Her plan, as we find out, is to load into a bunch of transports and get the hell out of there because they're going to go to this rebel base on this planet. And since they're only scanning for big ships, they won't see the little ships. That's the whole goal.
Mm-hmm.
She just doesn't tell him due to bureaucracy or something. She's like, no, you're a rascal, whatever. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah.
So then he's like plotting and all this crap, which she knows he's doing that somehow. She could have just told him that was the plan. Couldn't do it. Just refused to do it. And then he had to have a mutiny and everything.
Yeah.
And there was like all this shit going on. Like, again, like anything that happened in that ship was stupid.
See, this is my problem with this movie, is that there's so many little problems that add up to weigh it down, and it pulls those good scenes down. Do you know what I mean?
It really does.
Like Marty texted me, he's like, imagine if the movie was just the good scenes. It's like, that's an incredible movie,
They should have just went down to that damn rebel base.
Yeah.
And here's another really stupid thing. They retreat into this rebel base. It's on that like salt and red planet that you see in the trailer.
The planet's called Great.
Sure. So the guy goes in there. They all retreat in there, and there's these weird things instead of tauntauns because they made this is very Hoth-like.
Mm-hmm.
So but it's not snow. So instead of like tauntauns, you got these little ice
Crystal Foxes.
Crystal
I forget
Foxes.
the actual name of them, but yeah.
but crystal foxes. They like retreat into the base as well because they're in like a mountainside and they know the First Order's coming. They're scared, so they run off, instinctually.
Yeah.
And then they're like, "Oh, we've searched the base and there's no other way out. We can only go out through the front door, and the First Order is at the front door." So it's like shit. And then they're like, later on, they're like, "Well, where the Crystal Foxes go, there must be a way out." And then like one of the Crystal Foxes is like leading them out for some reason, for no reason at all. They didn't even check. And you know where that place was?
Just in the
They
back.
were in the freaking. They were literally in the front of the hangar. They look around there, and there's one path that goes one way, and it's straight, and that's the way out.
Yeah.
What are you doing? You didn't send one dude to go look around. And then and Adriano made a really good point. There's these speeder things, which again you see in the trailer. That's the one that like slams to the ground, whatever.
Yeah, the crappy speeders, yeah.
I didn't mind the actual design of those speeders because it's supposed to be shitty and everything, so it fits that plot. What the hell was their plan? They went right at a massive army of like state of the art AT&Ts. That's what I called them, AT&Ts, right? But they went like straight at them, and they didn't even shoot. They didn't shoot once. Not a single bullet was fired. Not a single bullet.
I'll have to rewatch that, but I don't think there was, yeah.
So, and then they're like, "Oh my God, retreat! What was your original plan?"
Just fly at them, yeah. Just fly at them and die.
And then they were like disgusted that Finn was going to do that. It's like, what are we doing?
Mm-hmm.
And I got another complaint now. They're trying to erase the old stuff. Kylo kills Snoke, tries to get Rey to turn,
Spoiler.
and he says like, well, this is the major spoiler area. Tries to get Snoke to turn, or tries to get Rey to turn.
Yeah.
And she doesn't, whatever. But he's like, forget the Sith, forget the Republic, forget everybody. Like he's saying, forget them all. And it kind of seems like this movie's trying to do that because this is the new Rebel Alliance, and now it's the First Order, not the Empire, and all this. But then at the end, all jolly and everything, Luke dies, sure. Leia's still alive in universe, right? Mm-hmm. Which I don't know how they're going to deal with that in the next movie. That's why I mentioned that.
I'm afraid she might just be dead in the opening crawl of the next film.
They should just
General Organa has died.
They should just CGI her. I don't know what the moral stance of that is, but
they've already said they're not going to do it.
But I feel like, and I mean, like they would know her better.
Yeah.
But like I would assume that she is like, because especially she came back 30 years later, she's proud enough of that role to be like, yeah, bring me back.
They may have footage left over from this movie that they could probably maybe
just like splice it in like once, or to just like hear her over the radio, like
something
like that, right?
Yeah, who knows?
But anyway, it doesn't matter. And then at the end of this movie, they're all together. You got Chewbacca still alive. Luke dies because he like tries too hard, like with the Force. All this crap. Luke's dead. Leia's still alive. Rey's there. We got Finn. We got the whole merry gang together, and we're all in the Millennium Falcon. We got C-3PO and all that. So you didn't. Damn it, man.
What's going on over here?
What are you dinging over there for?
Well, I just want to say something. Marty just said that the milk is green.
The milk is blue. But anyway, why is it that you want to remove the past and then you're clinging to it? I want the Millennium Falcon to crash. I want Chewbacca to die in the crash. I want Rey to survive. I want C-3PO to get blown up.
See, I don't know if Kylo's words is like an allegory to what the director is trying to tell the audience.
I would absolutely say that's what it was.
I don't think it is.
Why would he even bring up the Sith? He would say, forget about your parents. Let's rule the galaxy. There's no reason to bring up the Sith. I'm pretty sure he brings up the Republic. Why would he even bring that stuff up? Or he would have even said more appropriately, forget about Snoke and how the First Order is now. Let's rule the galaxy. That is what he should have said. But instead he goes off. And the only reason he would go off is to prove his point. Is to prove the director's point.
I don't know. I don't see it that way. I just see him as he's so hurt by his past and what everyone thought his legacy was going to be. Oh, you're a son of the Skywalker line. You know what I mean? You're meant for greatness. I think he's so broken from his past and his own experiences that he wants to forget all that stuff. He wants to forget that he killed Han Solo. He wants to forget about the Empire and the rebels and all that crap. He wants to start anew himself because he's so broken inside. Now you could be right. I'm perfectly willing to admit if that happens to be the case.
I think that it was too grand of a scene for it to just be like, let's start over. Because that's kind of what The Force Awakens was.
Because the thing is though that Rey has these dreams of being a Jedi and fighting evil and batting evil down, and she wants things to be the old way. She wants her parents back. She's stuck in the past. I think he's saying that to her to try to bring her to the dark side. She's constantly looking backwards instead of forwards, and I think that's what he's saying to her. I don't know if it's a message for the audience or not.
I would say it's a message for the audience, but I believe it's motivated by what you were saying there, where she keeps looking back.
Okay, I'll accept that.
Because, there has to be a motivation. You can't just be like, all right, audience. You know what I mean?
Turns the camera, breaks the fourth wall, yeah.
But, I don't know, man. It's just and then they try to, contact their allies, and then the message was received in, frontier space or whatever.
Yeah.
But it was they never answered us, so therefore, they're not coming. And then it's but we're the new rebels, so we have to rile people up to go fight. And it's just for Christ's sake, Rey should have been evil, and it should have been Poe and Finn and a few rebels trying to do some schemes in the next movie to I don't know, raise an army to take her back. I don't know, something. And then it was really weird that Poe and her had never met, and then they just met now, and then they're trying to love interest them together now, it looks like.
I feel that way, but I mean, I don't know because...
Well, it makes sense, though, because Finn is now with this other person.
But here's the funny thing, though.
Kind of.
The funny thing is, though, when Finn, reconnects with... or when Poe reconnects with Finn, right? Everyone's like, oh, they're a couple. They're going to become a couple.
What, Poe and Finn?
Yeah. Just the way Poe...
But they were he was pretty attached to Rey, too.
Yes, but I'm just saying, in that scene where they find out each other are alive, I don't know, whatever Oscar Isaac's doing in his acting, he looks like he is interested in Finn, okay? But then the same thing happens when he's with Rey.
Oh, maybe it's just
so I don't know.
It's just we're looking for it, and we're projecting it onto him.
Yeah, and that's just the way he acts when he's introducing to a new character.
It's really weird that Finn was I would say clearly interested in Rey, and now he's just no, I like this mechanic.
Yeah.
Just all right, I guess.
But again, I don't know if he likes the mechanics. She kissed him; he didn't kiss her.
Yeah, but then there was that long stare in the Millennium Falcon where he was tucking her in. And why wasn't
he still
Finn?
Cares about
why
her.
wasn't Finn beside Rey then? If they had been apart for so long, you couldn't leave her without a blanket for 10 minutes while you go talk to a person your long lost friend.
Yeah, he made a new friend. He's taking care of her. She's the one who's at risk. Rey's alive and well.
A blanket ain't gonna help her.
It doesn't matter. She's injured. He's taking care of her. Rey just freaking lifted up a bunch of rocks. She's doing fine, is what I'm saying.
I think this movie was bad. Every time I talk about this movie, I have more complaints and more things come up.
Yeah, but that doesn't make something bad just because there's complaints about it.
No, but it's getting worse. Like it's like if there's a bunch of complaints.
But no, that's what I'm saying. All these problems are tiny in scope. Okay, and yes, they add up to be pretty bad. But I still think the good stuff outweighs that.
What's your favorite? Let's do the top 3 scenes.
My favorite scene in this entire movie is probably everything in Snoke's throne room.
That's a pretty good one.
So him trying to get Rey to switch to the dark side, trying to get Kylo Ren to kill her, him dying, them fighting the guards. That entire sequence was fantastic.
That was a good. Yeah, that was a good one.
If the movie was that alone, I'd be like, holy crap, that was good. You know,
I mean, that would be a little short, but yeah,
yeah. But I kind of feel that's how it should have been. It should have been that opening scene was cool. I like the opening scene with the bombers and stuff.
right.
I liked the throne room scene, and I liked, for the most part, although they could have handled the Jedi training a little better.
Yeah, it was like 10 minutes,
Yeah,
and then now she's just like a Jedi.
yeah. So that was strange. Like, I feel like I know what they were trying to go for. It's like Luke is slowly realizing that he should train Rey, right? But they never took it the entire length.
I kind of feel like she shouldn't have come back in this movie.
I don't
And
know.
then in the next movie, it's like they're looking for her because she they know that like they need Luke and they need her.
Mm-hmm.
Luke was useless in this movie,
Well, he saved the Resistance.
kind of.
No, he did.
Bought them like 10 minutes.
That got them out.
I know, but like I mean, I understand that, but I'm saying like they really could have had an epic battle and an epic like escape without him being there.
Here's what I don't understand is like, okay, so again, spoilers, but
Well, this is a major spoiler area.
so Luke force projects himself onto Crate and has the showdown with Kylo Ren.
From another planet, like from the place from the end of the Force Awakens.
Yeah. Okay, he has this showdown with Kylo Ren.
Yeah,
After having the showdown, he dies.
yeah.
Why not just bring Luke to Crate and have Kylo Ren kill him? What's the difference?
I think it's because he was.
And
I don't know. No, I agree with how they did it because I think that okay, so like the whole story with him is like he saw that like Kylo Ren had like such raw strength that he didn't even have, and like he had like the darkness building him in and that. So then he disconnected himself from the Force, and that's why no one could sense him, find him, whatever, right? Because he disappeared and he also disconnected himself. I think that it's fair that they did it this way because it shows that Luke does have the raw power. I think that the entire downhill stretch from the old movies to now is that he didn't believe in himself anymore, so it just like started to collapse. So this is like him coming back hard.
Yeah. I still think Luke is more powerful than Kylo Ren.
I wouldn't say so.
But Luke is the son of Vader, who is the definitive most powerful Jedi in existence.
I would say though, but it's
Or
not
Force user.
not necessarily just in terms of like he might have more Force sensitivity, but it might literally be like he's like just weak, like he's weak-willed, like he's more weak-willed. Like the fact that he was so distraught by this for years and then just disappears and then doesn't want to come back and tries to get ready to leave.
Yeah, but I still think if he did go up in a fight and wanted to kill Kylo Ren, he could have.
If his will was pure at that time, I think so. Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
But raw, like that's what he means by raw strength, though, is like despite motive, like they're just kicking ass.
It's unfocused.
Like him at his maximum magnitude is bigger than theirs, but him at like 50% of his like caring is like Kylo Ren's kicking his ass. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, yeah.
Because the Force is supposed to be like hard to do. It's not supposed to be just like, oh, I moved that.
Right.
You
know. I did like that scene though. I did like that whole scene.
Where he dies?
No, well, not where he dies, where he's fighting Kylo Ren. I liked him dodging the lightsaber and stuff, and I liked Kylo Ren like getting like freaked out by him not like dying. You know?
That was cool. Yeah, that was.
I did like that whole sequence, and Luke looked really good too. They CG'd him up, made him look real nice.
No, yeah,
cut his
I
hair.
like Luke in the movie, like absolutely. I just think that he could have been used in the next one and used better.
I think he's going to be in the next one as a Force Ghost.
So I don't like that. Like, let him die in the next one. If you're trying to hold on to the past, like
No, but there's the thing. Okay, Obi-Wan dies in the very first movie, right?
Okay.
He comes back as a Force Ghost in the next two movies. to keep training Luke. So I think Luke is going to do the same thing with Rey. Keep training her,
Wait,
even as a Force Ghost.
Oh Christ! See, I haven't seen these movies very often.
in
Which one's Obi-Wan in the first one?
The old guy, Alec Guinness.
No, I'm talking about Episode 1.
Oh,
That's what you were talking about, right?
no, the very original Star Wars, The New
Oh,
Hope.
damn it!
Vader-
That's why I was getting all confused.
Vader cuts him down, right?
I was gonna say, wasn't Obi-Wan young? I was
No.
really confused.
Vader cuts him down, and he disappears into the Force, right? But then he still talks to Luke, helps him destroy the Death Star.
Yeah.
And then in the next 2 movies, he comes back as a Force Ghost to keep helping Luke.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
So I think that's going to happen with Rey, is that Obi-Wan, or not, Luke is going to come back as a Force Ghost and keep training her.
Yeah.
Maybe
I can see that.
with Yoda, because Yoda showed up in this movie.
That was a bit fan servicey, but yeah.
It was, but
Appropriately so.
I liked it, but it also looked like a cheap 70s puppet like thing. Do you know what I mean?
I think that's appropriate too, though.
You're right, but it was jarring because we're used to such high quality stuff.
Yeah.
But then to see it, it was the same time nostalgic, and the same time I was like, well, that's weird, you know.
It's like I said, it's definitely just for fan service.
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah, but I do think it would be more appropriate if Obi-Wan came back.
Yeah.
I don't know how they would do that. Another CG character, I guess. Cost them another $100 million to bring back Alec Guinness.
I do like that Luke died because like Yoda was like, "You're always looking at the horizon," then and you're never looking right in front of you, and then the horizon was right in front of him, and then he died.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Overall rating.
Out of 10?
Yeah, do a 10. Let's do a 10.
If I'm being honest, probably like a 7.
I was at a 7 upstairs. I'm thinking like 6.5 or 7. Yeah, that kind of sucks.
I think it was too long too. I think they could have cut it down a little bit.
I think you know what I honestly think, and this is maybe they didn't want to hide out in that base for too long because of Hoth. Like a better way to do that would have been, instead of them being caught in the middle of the evacuation, they should have been caught off guard, and the movie should have been them trying to escape the planet.
Mm-hmm.
They should have been like, oh, the Resistance base. They knew that they would get into trouble at some point, so they had like a backup plan on the other side of the planet, and there's like tunnels or something, and they're like trying to escape. That would have made more sense.
Here's what I think should have happened. Opening scene, right? They evacuate to Crate.
Yep.
They're holding out in Crate. The First Order comes down and starts bombarding them. Okay. All the while, people are wondering where Rey is, right? While she's being trained.
Yeah.
While she's being trained, she realizes, through a Force vision or whatever, that they're in trouble, right? She goes back, and to hold off the First Order, she goes and fights Kylo Ren and Snoke in that throne room. You then have that throne room scene.
You're attached to that, eh?
Oh, it's fantastic.
It is a good scene.
That was fantastic. So you have that throne room scene, right? And then somehow she goes down and saves the day on Crate. End of movie.
Yeah.
Cut out the casino bit. We even talk about the casino bit. Cut out that entire scene entirely.
There's a casino.
Although DJ was awesome.
I absolutely think that Lando should have been in there.
Yeah.
Don't even acknowledge that he's there. Just have him in like playing craps or something, and just be like, "What the fuck?" And then just like cuts.
But DJ was an awesome character. That was really good.
Who?
Benicio del Toro.
Who?
The code breaker.
Yeah, that was He had that like a really cool like stutter and stuff.
He was,
that was
I
really good.
liked him as a character. That was really good. I hope he. I'm gonna guess he's gonna come back too. I think he'll be back
because he's a lot. Like you explicitly see him leave.
Yeah.
So I would say
and
yes.
He's not on anyone's side really. Just who's ever paying really. You know.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah. So anyway, that's Star Wars: The Force, Last Jedi. Oh, one last thing. Before Luke,
was that a Steve Jobs move?
No. Before Luke disappears from Kylo Ren and then dies, he says that I will not be the last Jedi.
Which means Rey is.
And I'm very happy about that. I don't want them to take away the Jedi name at all.
Get rid of it.
No.
Got the First Order. Get rid of the Jedi.
No, what are they going to do? Like I don't know, some weird name?
Yeah. I'm sure they could come up with something.
No, the Jedi is a staple, and I think needs to remain. She should make the better Jedi, is what she should do. Nah,
get rid of it. Wipe the old. You keep hinting at it. You're talking about it. Get out of here. Get it out of there. How big of a pivotal moment would it be? They have the Millennium Falcon crash, fully detonate, unrepairable. Chewie dies.
That might happen.
I want that though.
But it's kind of cool.
That should have happened now.
It's kind of cool with Rey having it though.
I guess. And too many of them damn bird things.
Yeah, I like them, but they were overused. Yeah.
It was like, look, kids, look again, kids. You want this for Christmas, don't you, kids?
Yeah.
Come on, kids.
Yeah.
Fuck.
All right, let's hop into some games because that's what you're here for, if you're here at all. First story: loot boxes still in the news, but we have a new ruling from New Zealand.
Who are you talking to if they're not here at all? Continue.
No, I'm just talking to space. New ruling from New Zealand who says loot boxes are not gambling. So we're getting all these different.
From where, sorry, the States you said?
New Zealand.
Where the hell did I get the States? That was weird.
So we're getting all these different reports from all over the world. People putting in their different opinions, and these are official like sources. These aren't just like journalists saying, "Oh, these aren't gambling." These are like official government stuff, regulations and stuff. So yeah, that's just an update on loot boxes, really.
Well, I think something to like kind of bring like that kind of makes sense and not like I haven't looked at this particular situation, but like when a government does a law in general, as a general rule of thumb, it's that there has to be something like there has to be a metric to something. That's why there's like they always choose a numeric limit or an age like an age limit is a numeric limit for an example for like can't drive till you're 16, can't do this until you're this age, whatever. So when they have loot boxes, when they have a definition of gambling legally, their cutoff could be like, you could pay money and not get anything back. And the fact that you're paying and getting something, even if it's totally useless, is like, well, then it's not gambling. And they're not like, I don't think they're willing to change the gambling laws unless we're seeing like a major detriment to more than just like game quality is suffering, but I don't think we're seeing the population suffer. I know that people are starting to say that like kids are going to get addicted to gambling and that, which could absolutely be a detriment. But at the same breath, I think at this point, it's either not widespread enough or maybe it's not even happening. We don't know, or at least I don't know.
Now, here's a question: can you gamble for something that's other than money?
Well, see, that's actually an interesting point. When they banned gambling in the United States years ago, near the Prohibition era. What they used to do is they would get rid of gambling machines. Like there used to be like little slot machines at the bar, and what they did was they said, "Oh, you can't win a numeric thing, can't win like money. You'd win like, oh, you got like 3 diamonds, so here's a pack of gum, and the gum would like be dispensed by the machine. And then you would illegally go to the bartender and be like, hey, here's this pack of gum, and that would give you like $100 or whatever.
Right. I'm just wondering because like you're not gambling to win back money. There's no $10,000 prize in Overwatch, right? There's only items to win.
And
you're always guaranteed items.
You're getting caught up in it, they're getting caught up in the legal jargon.
Yeah,
which I don't really blame them because it's
that's
like
all we have really.
Because it's like, can you consider jumping into a random dungeon in Skyrim and not getting the sword you're looking for gambling?
But you're not putting any money in except for your time, which doesn't
No,
count.
but I would say that people are fighting loot boxes to the point where, like, even if it's just in-game currency, I don't think that people would want them.
What are they arguing here? Are they arguing that people are wasting their money, or are they arguing that it could lead to addiction for youngsters?
There's that. That is definitely one of the points. The addiction thing is definitely the point. There's a bunch of arguments, right? There's people on the quality fence. Games are suffering in quality. There's people on the gouging fence where they're like, oh, we're being gouged. We're being, this is capitalism. And there's people on the gambling side of things. And I think that maybe the gambling, because it's more official, is becoming the ammunition of those in the other categories.
What is Overwatch rated? Do you know? Is it E or is it T?
I wouldn't say it's E. I would say it's at least T. Because, like, let's be serious, some of those characters are pretty scantily clad.
Well, some kind of.
Like, not, like, to the point of, like, perversion, but, like, I don't know. I'm going to look this up right now. Let's see.
I'm just wondering, though, like, could you just say that this is, like, more of a parental thing? Where you at a certain age, you should know the risks of loot boxes.
Yeah, it's rated T for teen.
Yeah, so like, kids should not have unlimited access to a credit card on a console or PC, and just keep buying loot boxes. Their parents should be the ones in charge.
But this is the problem,
and not
though.
allowing them just to mash that button and buying more loot boxes. And
This
getting
is the
addicted.
issue. Is like you can't track everything you're doing.
No, what I'm saying
Everything
is,
your kid is doing online.
What I'm saying though is this a parental issue or is this a government issue? That's what I'm saying.
See, I think that there's systems in place for the parental thing, the E through M or E through I guess AO, but we've never really seen any AO games. E through M essentially, right?
Yeah.
We've seen like that's an easy way for parents where they say like, okay, this game is, if it's rated, like I wasn't never allowed to get M for mature until I was like 16. Because it got to the point where like most games that I wanted or most of the popular games were M, so my parents were like, well, whatever, you can drive, you can play a video game.
I can't even really name you an E game that's popular right now.
Actually, to be honest, it was probably earlier. It was probably more like 13 I was able to play M games, I think. Because I was already playing COD and stuff when I was driving, obviously, like way before then.
Yeah.
But like during those earlier stages, like T, they didn't care. Like even before I was a teen, they never really cared. Like they were just like, oh, it's T for teen, whatever. I'll go to the store with you. Mm-hmm. Which they had to do anyway because I wasn't old enough to drive.
Yeah.
But now what the problem is though is like parents are using that very easy system to take it back to this loot box thing, and then they don't know what the hell's going on in the game. And like you can't expect parents to be like, well, just know everything your kid does online. Like the kid's going to understand it way better than the parents.
No, but okay, if we're talking like under 12, 13, 12, right? If we're talking underneath that, as a parent, you should be the one who set up the console, set up the account, and either attached or did not attach a credit card. And
the credit card thing, yes, the credit card, absolutely. You're right.
What I'm saying is do we need to educate parents on loot boxes so their kids don't get addicted to these types of things? Maybe it's not a place for the government to say, oh, we need to regulate these loot boxes. Maybe it's just we need parents just to educate themselves and their kids. You know what I mean? I think that might help, but it's one more thing that they have to like look out for. And I think we're piling too much on the self-policing agenda of a parent. Mm-hmm. Like if you're a standard parent of today that let's say works in Toronto and commutes back to Hamilton is going to get home at like 7 or 8. So they're going to have either a stay-at-home spouse or a stay-at-home family member for a younger kid because they're not going to be able to pick up the kid or drop the kid off at school. Mm-hmm. And then in that same breath, they're not like, you get home at 8 or 9 or whatever, or like 6 or 7, depending on when you leave, you're not going to want to be like helping them with their homework and then investing time, making sure that their leisurely activities are like safe. Mm-hmm. That's what I mean by the simplicity of the E through M makes sense, but like they're going to be like, Jesus Christ, like that's it. Like there's going to be like, that's it, no video games. Yeah. Like it's going to get, I wouldn't be surprised if it has in semi-large numbers, not enough to report on, but like into the thousands, I wouldn't be surprised if things like this have happened. Like parents probably have said, okay, you're not getting Battlefront 2 for Christmas, period. Because it's been on fucking news, right? Mm-hmm. So like that's probably exactly... Like there's a point in which someone's just going to be like, this is too freaking annoying, that's it. Foot down, and that ends it. So like, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not a parent. I think there needs to be studies too on whether how many people are getting addicted to these loot boxes as well, because we don't have those numbers. Loot boxes are somewhat recent,
right?
They've been on mobile games for a while now. They're just making their way to console games. So I think we need some more information on what are the actual effects of loot boxes on the players.
Yeah,
because if it's like 10% of people are getting addicted, that's pretty serious. You know what I mean?
Well, like that's even a question. I remember back in the day when my parents were afraid to get me video games because they thought I would become addicted because the fucking news told them I was going to get addicted.
I'm not worried about getting addicted to video games. That is an issue for some people, yes, but the problem with loot boxes is you can spend tens of thousands of dollars on that.
That's a problem, yes, and
that's where it becomes dangerous for people.
Financially, it becomes dangerous, right?
Yeah.
But like the question is I don't want things to be inflated like it was, 10 years ago when everyone was like on the violent trend.
Yeah, but what happened was studies came out and proved that violent video games don't make you more violent.
So some people are still in denial.
Of course, but the facts are clear regardless. Okay, so I think we just need studies on loot boxes.
Yeah, I think that would be fair.
All right, let's move on. So the Game Awards were what, 2 weeks ago now? A week ago? 2 weeks?
Something like that.
11.5 million people around the world viewed this year's Game Awards, which is 202% up from the previous year, which had 3.8 million viewers.
Holy crap.
Now, I got some more information here, which I didn't know, is that Jeff Keighley started the Game Awards 4 years ago, and he used to host it or be a part of it on Spike TV. He left that or whatever happened, and he went and did his own thing. Apparently, he invested $1 million of his own dollars in that first show.
Holy crap!
Yeah, that's nuts, eh?
I didn't even know he was a millionaire.
First of all, I didn't know Jeff Keighley was making that much on Spike previously, and guess Game Trailers too, right? That was like the show he was on.
Oh yeah,
wasn't
that's
it?
right. That's right.
So I didn't know he was making that much money. First of all, that's impressive. And then to be that dedicated to invest $1 million of your own dollars into that show, and that first show was rough. That was the one with what's his name, Mikhail.
I don't remember.
The guy from Community. Joel McHale.
Oh crap! Yeah,
Joel McHale.
He was in the first Game Awards,
and it was
He
rough.
kept
was
making fun of us, right?
He was making fun of gamers and stuff, and that was just a rough show.
Just like, then get out of here, then.
But it's gotten better ever since. So the inaugural show in 2014 had 1.9 million viewers, and today it has 11.5. That's incredible.
That's a big old boost. I bet you. I want to know what this show pulls in for Jeff Keighley.
Like all the advertisers. Right?
Has he made his $1 million back?
Oh yeah, I think so at this point.
But him personally, look how many people probably run that thing, plus the venue, plus like I bet you some of that stuff is like some of that stuff is like deals, like they don't pay much because it's like a promo for both.
It's his show though.
No, I understand that.
He'd be making the most.
He'd be making the
on
most.
His team.
He's the top dog, but I'm just curious as to how much.
We were trying to talk about this before. When you go to promote this show, you only have last year's numbers to get advertisers on it. You can make predictions on what you think people are going to view it this year, but you really only have solid numbers on last year, right?
Yeah.
So last year, what do I got here?
I would say this year he had also the ammunition of it was going to be frickin' everywhere.
Yes.
Every
what I'm
damn
saying
streaming
is,
service available.
What I'm saying is last year he had 3.8 million viewers. So that's the number he can take to advertisers saying, this is how many people watch my show. You know, you can have access to 3.8 million viewers.
Right.
Do you want to advertise? Right. That's quite a bit. 3.8 is pretty decent actually. But now this year, 11.5 or 11.5. Now he can probably really start marketing this thing. So next year he could probably make some serious dough.
And he probably already has.
Yeah.
If there was that many,
just last year,
if there was that many world premieres at this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. So even the developers and publishers are taking this seriously now as an actual avenue to reach a bunch of people. And we were talking about this too. Is like I don't know how the reveals work. Do they pay the Game Awards? Do the Game Awards pay them to get viewers? You know what I mean?
Yeah. See, that's exactly. It's like the fact that they're like advertisements are one thing. Like the Schick Hydro bot was probably not like beneficial to the audience. Like,
although they were back this year promoting it.
It was funny. No, well they didn't have the Schick Hydro bot. They just had
but
the
Schick
guy.
was
Schick was one of the sponsors. But like having a gaming related thing like a world premiere trailer, that's mutually beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
Jeff Keighley's show gets the Game Awards gets like a boost because people want to see the trailers, and in the same breath the trailers want to be shown and exposed. So it's like, are the trailers free? Because it's like, hey, I want to go in this, and then they just like choose those ones?
Yeah.
Or is it like, does the trailer guy pay him, or does Jeff pay the guy for the trailer?
Yeah, it's weird, eh?
That's what I mean by how much money did he really make? Because like you're not going to pay the guy that like won the award.
Yeah. When it's something like the Super Bowl, I know it's a big spectacle now, but I imagine in the early days, the Super Bowl was the biggest game of the year. So they had the viewers, so they could sell massive advertising slots.
Yeah.
And that's why it's like $4 million for a 30-second ad at the Super Bowl.
That's
right?
ridiculous, yeah. That's ridiculous.
But how does it work with something that's smaller like this? Are these publishers paying that kind of money to have their game shown at the Game Awards?
It's a good freaking question.
I'd imagine yes. That's the only way I can see this as being a money-making thing. I don't think Schick is making up the budget. You know what I mean? And all their other
What other
advertisers.
ads were there in the show? Did they take breaks? I can't
No,
remember.
no.
I thought they did. I thought they took like 2 breaks. I could be wrong though.
Oh, there might have been. You might
I
be
thought there
right.
was like, we'll be right back.
Yeah, and then
like,
they showed,
coming up.
they showed the commercials and stuff.
So like that would be the moneymaker. I would assume anything in the show is not paid. I would
I
assume.
don't know. I'll call up Jeff and we'll
call up the millionaire Jeff Keighley.
Yeah, we'll FaceTime him.
FaceTime him. Got to duo him.
All right, next up, Nintendo wants to ramp up its mobile game development. So they've had 3 games launch so far?
I want to know what that Pokemon Puzzle League is that considered? That like Bejeweled? I don't know if it's called that. I might be wrong.
I don't think so.
You know what I'm talking about, the Bejeweled game, right?
Yeah, I don't think so because no one really covered it as if it was a new Nintendo game. I think that's just a Pokemon Company game.
Okay.
Now, I mean, I know Nintendo does own a share of Pokemon game, right?
Pokemon
Company.
A share, but it's not.
Not owning them, right?
Yeah. That's why Nintendo stock jumped, and then they had to get when Pogo took off. Then it's like, wait a second, whoa! Like we don't own this, and then it just starts like people start dumping stock. Jesus Christ, get rid of this!
Yeah, so they bought a 10% stake in DNA, who made all their current games, I guess, but they're not making them fast enough, and they want a lot more games coming out. And this is according to the Wall Street Journal. Yes, they
They're looking for more devs now, or what are they doing?
Yeah, they want to have more partnerships, but they're not going to invest in them like they did DNA.
Well, DNA kind of seems like it might be. I don't want to say at risk, but a candidate for being purchased and being an in-house or changed into an in-house like mobile app developer, but then also have partners in other things.
What I think this means though is that Nintendo's making some serious dough off of these mobile games.
Oh yeah.
No, maybe not so much. I remember the Mario game. They said they weren't making.
Well, that's because
they
there
weren't
was no
making acceptable
microtransactions.
profit or something like that.
There was no microtransactions. It was just one-offs, and people on Android were bitching that it was a paid. They had to pay for it.
And if they're not making a lot of money, maybe they're just seeing how many people download these games and know that there's a way to make money. Do you know what I mean?
Well, they're probably they're making a bunch off of Fire Emblem, and they're probably, I would assume, making a bunch off Animal Crossing,
which has more downloads than Fire Emblem does.
So like,
but
people will pay to get like the festive stuff because they know that festive stuff is either going to be gone forever or it's going to be gone until next year at the very least.
Yeah.
So people will just like play the game, but then they'll certainly pay for it. Because I've been to people's campsites, what the hell they call it, where like literally, like it's all decked out, and like at the point, like I haven't really been playing daily recently, but when like at the beginning of the festive event, I was like, holy Christ, like there's no way in hell I'd have this much. So they're just paying for it.
Yeah. I wonder if, I know the Switch is selling really well right now, but I wonder if there's a lot of people who just don't want to buy a Nintendo console but still love the games. And so the mobile games might be the way to reach those people. Like me, I'm not going to run out and buy a Switch to play Mario, but I downloaded Super Mario Run, I played it, I've downloaded all their games on mobile. You know what I mean?
I think Nintendo still has the name, but I think you're right. Anyone who like is a kind of a Spectrum gamer, I guess, who like plays the CODs, plays the Battlefronts, but then also goes back and plays Nintendo, isn't going to be dedicated enough to buy a Switch.
Yeah.
In some cases, sometimes they will.
Yeah.
But it's like, if you're a big Nintendo fan, yeah, you're going to buy a Switch. But those guys probably don't play Call of Duty and the rest of it. They don't play the other AAAs. That's what I would say, anyway.
Right.
Because like, there's a reason why like Super Smash Bros. Like sold a bunch of stuff because those guys are probably Nintendo fans just waiting for the next console, right? And a lot of Nintendo guys I find, and my sample size is very small, is like they don't really play many games. They play like Nintendo games here and there, but it's not like their console's on every day.
Yeah.
It's like once a week.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to a controversial story that's pretty current.
Controversial, eh?
Pretty current in the news right now. Net neutrality just had a ruling by the FCC that they would get rid of the Obama era regulation on the internet, known as net neutrality.
Correct.
Now, if you don't know what net neutrality is, now I'm no expert, but from what I can tell, net neutrality just basically means everyone has the same access to the internet. There's no paid options to get better internet.
Literally, traffic is neutral.
Yes.
It's whether it's a game or your email service or
Facebook or whatever.
your Facebook or you're just some, Joe Blow's forum, that data comes in as fast as, that server that they have, the website server allows.
Yeah.
And the ISP cannot block, play favorites, or throttle
any particular
type of data from any service. So that's gone. Well, I say it's gone now, but
they simply voted on it, but that doesn't make it official yet.
Right. It's going through some more procedures.
Yeah.
I've heard stuff like I haven't really read into the tertiary procedures, but I've heard like stuff people say that it has to go through Congress or something. Yeah. Okay, so it has to go through Congress then. But it's all but dead. It's all but dead. It's at its furthest peak to being killed.
It being a Republican held Congress, it's probably going to go that way.
See, this is the type of shit that pisses me off. Not to be totally crude at the beginning of my argument here.
Yeah.
But fuck it. Anyway, might as well add on to it now. This is like, and this has been said by so many people on YouTube, because like a lot of the people are in attack and then they post articles saying support net neutrality, fight for it. Like this is not a political thing, and they made it into a political thing. Like in today's day and age, there has to be a point in which someone's like, there has to be logic here. If Democrats say they like houses, are like Republicans going to be like, no, I live outside without anything, without any shelter. The hell with it. Why would you ever need shelter? Like, come on, guys. Like, there comes a point where it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And that's not to say that the other side doesn't have arguments. The guys who are anti-net neutrality.
Right. I
heard my first good argument, though, today. And the first good argument was, and it made a good point, but it has holes in it. I think it was an Economist article, if I remember correctly, but don't quote me on that. But what it said was, there's no incentive for an let me reword this. There's no, how do I word this? This is such like a...
So, okay, I think I know what you're saying. People were saying that ISPs would be incentivized to
See what I'm saying? It's hard to... No, I got it. Okay.
To improve their infrastructure.
Their infrastructure. Yes.
Without net neutrality.
Now, John Oliver poked holes in that.
Mm-hmm.
That's a fair anti-net neutrality argument, I think. But the numbers, if John Oliver's video is true, the numbers don't really add up in their favor too well. Another good one, though, that they brought up, and this actually plays into Mark Cuban's point. Mark Cuban said in a video that he thinks that it's stupid, net neutrality is the stupidest stuff ever, or something like that. He said something along those lines, because he says you're demonetizing big companies. And where I disagree with him like that, what's happening, I think, is like, so for example, if you run an orchard and apple seeds go up in price, you are going to pass that along to the consumer. Apples are going to go up in price, like just because.
Right.
Internet is being used more than ever, and we are forcing a regulation on them to treat traffic as regular. So they're saying that, like my parents are checking email and using Netflix, but somebody like me is using Netflix, checking email, working on there, playing games, downloading stuff, uploading things. So admittedly, I'm essentially beating the hell out of the internet a lot more than my parents are, and there's like lesser users than my parents. So net neutrality means that we all like users of the spectrum, in terms of like, using the internet as much as we do, are being treated equally, right? But that was one argument, like I said, makes sense, is like, if I'm a heavier user, just logically speaking, take it out of the internet. If I'm a heavier user, if I use more of something, you would think I would pay more for it. If I need more apples, I pay for more apples. That kind of makes sense. But the holes in the argument are, you do pay more because there's data limitations, caps and that, and you pay for unlimited if you need it, or you pay overage charges. There's also speed limitations and that sort of thing. So like, you're limited by your budget. So therefore I want to do all this, like before when we had slower internet, I want to do all this, but this download's going to take 2 days. So I'm kind of like delayed.
And in the US, I think they do throttle people. If you have an unlimited package and you're using too much data, they can throttle you. It's illegal in Canada, as far as I know. But in the U.S., they can do that.
I've heard about that, yeah, in some like cases. But the issues so there's that, right? But another big hole in there is that this is very clearly easily abused.
Right.
And that's the main issue, because the FCC, as far as I understand it, is the equivalent of the CRTC, which is an agency that's supposed to protect and help the consumer.
Right.
And Ajit Pai was the head of the FCC, and he's like, "Oh, this is the open internet. Like, getting rid of net neutrality is the open internet. Now it's an open market. Now it's just everyone has to fight. Now it's just like, woo!" But you have to remember this. Companies don't like competition. Why were they lobbying for it? Very clearly, their motivation is to make more money.
Yeah.
How are they going to do that? They're going to raise the price. Our prices in North America are among the highest, if not the highest, we like to pay. And in Canada, we still have net neutrality. We have laws like that. We have our CRTC does protect us and gives us things like unlocked phones and stuff like that. Like, they do help us, but our rates are fucking high. Our rates on cell phones are really high. Yeah. Our internet is really high. We pay a lot of money. So it's at the point now where it's like, we're already paying a lot. Like, if we went from the $9.99 of the AOL dial-up days, and then we expected high speed for the same price, then it's like, okay, now the consumer is just getting greedy.
Yeah.
But to pay over $100 a month sometimes, and you're still not getting, whether it be good service or maybe your speed's slow or maybe it goes down or it's really those companies need more. And
yeah, you brought up a good point. That companies don't want competition. They simply want to make more money.
So they're lobbying for one reason.
Having to fight off competition makes you spend more money. Okay. So yeah, they're lobbying to get rid of this competition. And the way it gets rid of competition is big companies like Apple and Google and stuff can dish out as much money as they want and say, make all of our internet lanes as fast as possible. And some little startup can't compete with that.
They can't. No, absolutely.
So Netflix has a bunch of money, right? They can say, here's $1 billion, give us a super fast lane. And you have a little startup company like Crave or something.
Yeah, let's say Crave goes to America.
Yeah. They cannot compete. They can't afford to pay for a super fast lane. And so if I'm a consumer, I'm going to say, I'm going to decide between Netflix and Crave. Oh, my Crave doesn't seem to load as fast as Netflix does. I'm going to stick with Netflix.
And another thing they can do too, as far as I understand it, is let's say let's hypothetically say net neutrality in Canada is gone. Big company here is Bell. Okay, Bell owns Crave. Crave's like Netflix. So Bell offers internet services. So they'd be like, well, if you buy our internet service, Crave is available. Netflix is blocked, but you can pay $5 a month extra for Netflix. But why don't you just use Crave? Because it's free.
Yeah.
And Crave also gets a fast lane.
And from what I can tell, this is already happening in countries where they've gotten rid of net neutrality, right?
They block. See, there's zero rate plans. We used to have them here until I guess they got regulated away, or I'm not really sure what happened. But do you remember in the beginning of cell phone data, in the beginning of the cell phone data days, free social media packages from Rogers?
Yeah.
That is considered not net neutral because you're giving that a zero rate. Whereas you're not supposed to do that, right? Because it's social media, but it's still internet data. So it's supposed to be still charged. So that's actually one of the arguments. Another argument I heard was people were like, well, I want zero rate stuff. I want unlimited Facebook. It's bullshit that my Facebook goes toward my 2 gig limit.
Yeah.
But it's yes, but you're not going to, one option isn't all pro. There's cons to everything.
Right.
And I feel like that's a small con.
Yeah. And one thing I'm confused about, I don't want to spend all our time on this because we've only got a little bit left, but one thing I'm confused about is that net neutrality wasn't officially law prior to the Obama regulations, right? Because remember when the FCC originally voted on net neutrality, they essentially said net neutrality is law, right?
Yeah.
So prior to that, was it actually no net neutrality?
See, so some people...
did it just exist in existence because no one ever thought to charge for different packages and high-speed lanes? Or
this was one of the arguments, and these are Twitter comments and information I'm getting here.
Yeah.
So please do not quote me on this and do your own research. But people were saying that too. People were like, why is everyone freaking out? They're going back to pre-2015. The internet was so bad back then. But some people were saying that apparently there were some laws passed in the 90s, and apparently they were like kind of looser because the internet was kind of new, so they were looser. And then like over time, since the internet started getting used more and more and more, it gave birth to those situations where like Verizon was throttling Netflix, and people were like giving unlimited data for social media, and like only certain social media, and people, that like net neutral stuff started happening. So once it started happening, then a regulation, like an ironclad regulation was needed, not just something that was like kind of flimsy.
And here's the thing too: internet has become so vital to our everyday lives now. It's almost as vital as electricity, right? So I think it should be treated as a utility.
That's what the
Obama era net neutrality was. It said this should be regulated as a utility.
This is the thing is
which
like,
means everyone has a right to it essentially.
See that's the thing I believe in capitalism, but I believe it should be in the consumer market. And when something becomes super vital, capitalism like when something becomes super vital, the value goes up. But the value goes up so much that capitalists are just going to gouge you.
Right.
Like, oh, you want that internet? Well, pay me $300 a month. Can't afford it? All right. Well, no internet for you then.
You need internet to find jobs nowadays.
Yeah.
You need social media to connect with people.
Like you need data on your mobile lines. Like AT&T, I think do they offer home internet in America?
I don't know actually. I don't think they did. I think didn't they buy Comcast or something like that?
Well, I'm not sure, but like hypothetically, if there's an ISP in America, which I'm sure there is, I don't like we live in Canada, so I don't know.
Verizon,
but if they offer mobile and home, like I can see there being some weird bundles they start making, maybe if they can. Like there's still regulations in place of some sort.
Yeah.
But I could see them being like, oh, buy a line and then we'll give you better home internet. Like, like if that's possible, it's gonna be weird.
All right, I guess we're gonna have to wait and see, and we need to make sure this doesn't come to Canada, which it very well might. So
I'm sure Bell is getting their lobbying dollars.
They're salivating right now. All right, last story for the week here. Sony executive Sean Layden, he gave us a kind of a glimmer of hope that our PlayStation Network names could be changed. He said that the L's in the North Pole have been working on it, so that shows you kind of it's not going to happen. So
I mean, he did say like it was a part of PSX.
Yeah,
he's talking to Greg Miller, and he said hopefully next year you won't have to ask me about it because Greg asked him.
Yeah, he reiterated it's a tough situation. That sounds incredible, but I think the reason why it's not been done yet, I believe them that it's tough to do. Okay, but I think the reason why it's not a priority for them is it doesn't really make them more money by giving you the ability to change their name.
It absolutely will, because if they
charge for it.
If they make it $30, there goes $30 that day. I'm buying a name change.
You're right, but as of right now, I don't think it's worth investing the money it is to get people working on it.
For changing a name?
No, let's say they're saying that it's going to be free to change your name.
Well, then don't. If your motivation is money, then charge for it.
I don't know what their motivation is. Maybe
motivation is probably because we're all yelling about it.
No, but but that's no reason really.
Is it not?
No, because people are still buying PlayStation in droves. This is not a single issue that's taking them down.
No, but this is like a very like low key sociable thing they could do.
But the fact that it's taken this long, I can't physically believe that is that hard. That it's taking them years and years and years and years.
I would say that they didn't seriously look at it until Sean Layden
That's what I'm
in
saying.
play. I would say that myself.
I don't think they're spending a lot of time looking into this problem.
I would say they are now.
Maybe.
I would say that, but you got to remember here is if I'm not a database architect by any means, but if the key value, whatever the database guys call it, is the name, imagine how scary it is to try to reprogram that database, which is constantly updating, by the way, with people's purchases, achievements, years of shit on there, and then flipping the switch one day and the whole database flips, and you make one mistake, everyone's purchases are gone.
Yeah.
Everybody's.
Well, they probably shouldn't do it all at once, right?
They might do it regionally, but how many people are in a region? It's still freaking massive.
It's still huge, but I mean, like...
Oh, it's like, oh no, there goes North America's purchases. Oh well. Like, you can't just do that.
They make a backup.
No.
What do you mean, no? You just restore it.
No. No.
Well, that's possible, isn't it?
Oh, yes. I thought you meant like do a backup and then do like a big shutdown. Like,
No, no.
like let's not like I can see that happening. I can certainly see like we're going down for maintenance in 2 hours. So
Yeah.
we're going to allow you guys to change names. So everyone's like, oh hell yeah. Comes back up. Everyone's like, where the hell's all my purchases? A couple hours later, we're going to have for maintenance for a couple hours. Comes back, you can no longer change your names. It's like, well, shit. Like,
Yeah. All right, that's all I got for you.
that was actually a pretty packed show.
Yeah, it was. Go see The Last Jedi. Tell us what you think. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all I got. Goodbye.
Peace.